All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are live for another episode of Missing Millions. Patrick Francie, a beautiful Friday. Well, not so beautiful here in Peterborough. It was actually snowing this morning, which is unbelievable.
It's Friday. It's beautiful. Fridays are always beautiful.
I love, I love it. Now, Patrick, a recent phenomenon that's happening. Us at the Real Estate Investment Network, we've been talking about the wealth transfer, the $1.3 trillion wealth transfer. We've been talking about it for years and years and years, that it was coming. It was like this big wave that's coming. And we told real estate investors to get ahead of it. So now it's starting to happen. I mean, we were talking about this in 2017 and 2018 and 2019. Here we are now in 2021. It's starting to happen. And one of the um, uh, fortunate / unfortunate things is that it is creating a lot of accidental landlords. Let's start by defining what an accidental landlord is, and then let's go into that topic of conversation.
Well, it comes up often, and it's come up many times over the years, but it's starting to escalate, to your point, because of that wealth transfer is actually starting to speed up. There's some velocity behind it now. And I think probably part of that, JG, has just been driven by the pandemic and people's lives changing and all the rest of it. But it really showed up, and I became more present to it yesterday on the Rain channel for the Everyday Millionaire podcast. I interviewed Derek Lobo. Now, Derek Lobo has been in the multifamily space for many, many years. He's done deals that are 200-300 unit buildings. Like he's a big player in that space. But one of the things that his business does is it actually helps families transition the legacy of buildings, the legacy of real estate from one generation to the next. Early on in Canada, as many real estate investors know, there of course is immigrants coming into the country 40 years ago, 30 years ago, 50 years ago, and what did they do? They all seem to buy real estate. Well, guess what? Those families, those parents are now 80 and 90 years old, and it's time to move on. And guess what? They're going, here's son, here daughter, here family, take this 100-unit apartment, take this 12-unit building, or these 4 12-unit buildings, take this real estate. It's all yours. And these families are going, oh, Dad, I don't want to be a landlord. Too late, and maybe dad's passed on the next thing you know, or mom, whatever it is. And next thing you know, you own real estate and you're not prepared for it.
Well, and this is happening all the time, Patrick. I recently got a phone call from an agent who wanted to sell. I went to go look at one particular property. I was interested in this property. And then through conversation with the agent, I found out there's actually 56 single family properties that were for sale as a bundle, because exactly this, the family did not want to take it on. They were not interested in running a real estate business, which a 56 unit portfolio is a significant portfolio. And as a result, I was able to scoop up a couple of these properties. But the point is this, is that it doesn't have to be this way. Now, some people that want to not get involved in the real estate business, that's okay. But some people do want to get involved in the real estate business, but they're not prepared, Patrick. They're just not prepared for this. And as a result, it's kind of like, someone dropping off a puppy, in the morning and saying, here, it's yours now. And then you have to deal with this thing called a puppy, a dog, or a piece of real estate. Preparation is key. What do you think real estate investors should do to prepare, Patrick?
It all boils down to education, doesn't it? And that's where the intimidation begins, is because you don't know. I mean, you don't know. And it can be pretty intimidating if all of a sudden you own a property or a building. It's interesting that we have this conversation, and Donna McGuire, a good friend of ours, had reached out and said, Patrick, I see often about these accidental landlords. Has the Real Estate Investment Network ever done the education on it? And I go, well, not specifically, but it's an interesting topic. And then, of course, having that conversation with on the Everyday Millionaire for the Rain channel really brought it to light just how much of it's going on. And then you just share that story. So the point is this, it is ultimately, it's about education. It's about understanding. And here's the thing about it is it's not as complicated as maybe an accidental landlord might think it is. It can be very intimidating for sure, but it's really stepping back and having some education around it. And JG, and only because we're doing an intensive tomorrow, Real Estate Investing in Canada intensive. If you're an accidental landlord, go to raincanada.com and register for the intensive tomorrow. Because that'll be a great point of entry.
Absolutely. Within 6 hours, you can really elevate your education knowledge, really elevate how much you know about real estate, and it can be transformative. Because Patrick, the one thing you said is absolutely correct. And I often get these calls at Vistra Property Group. We often get these calls where people are at their wits' end with their property. I got this call yesterday where someone's owned this property since 1997, and they're just at their wits' end with their property because the property's being run down, the tenants aren't respecting it. The current landlord has not followed the guidelines to properly evict this person. They're having a difficult time with it. The point is this has been going on for years and years and years now, and it's become this snowball issue. It started out as a little issue that is now this massive issue that is going to take a lot of time and cost a lot of money to resolve. It doesn't have to be that way when you get educated early on. It doesn't have to be that way when you engage the help of experts early on. And I totally agree with you, Patrick, that going to the Real Estate Investment Network intensive, the intensive we have tomorrow, which is from 12 p.m. to 6 p.m., is a great way to do exactly that, to avoid potential issues. Because, man, these mistakes, they cost major money in real estate. I mean, we're talking about mistakes that cost tens of thousands of dollars, hundreds of thousands of dollars, sometimes over the course of a piece of property.
Yeah, but and here's the other thing about it, for those accidental landlords, like and I've heard these stories many times over the years that I've been involved with the Real Estate Investment Network, which is over 20 years. But the point is this, is given what's going on economically today, a family gets this piece of real estate, goes, I don't want anything to do with it, just sell it. Well, we have a problem today that we haven't had in the years gone by. And that is, what are you going to do with that capital? When you look at the equity market today, when you look at interest rates and even bond yields, I mean, where do you put that capital so that you actually aren't, and given inflation, guess what? You don't want to take that capital, put it in a bank account and not have it do something. It's got to go back to work. If you can hang on to the real estate, then you continue to produce a yield for that property, stay ahead of the inflation rate that is happening in Canada, and we can anticipate that happening for a little while. And actually, I think it's going to escalate over the coming months. And who knows? Nobody has all the answers. It's a weird world that we live in, but pulling the capital off the table in your real estate may not be the answer, given that you're going to have to do something with that money, JT.
Patrick, I literally awesome, Cheryl. We look forward to seeing you at the intensive tomorrow, Cheryl. So that's going to be great. You just said something fascinating, Patrick. I literally just got off the phone with a real estate investor 2 hours ago, and this is what happened to this investor. He sold two particular properties, and now sitting on a whack load of dough, just a ton of cash, with nothing, not with no game plan on where to put it next. And now there's pressure mounting. This investor's feeling a ton of pressure mounting to be able to invest this capital because they know, because they're very astute, they know that this money is literally rotting away in the bank, kind of like you'd have a beautiful spaghetti that you made last week. Well, it will rot away in the fridge. That's what's happening with your money in the bank. It is literally rotting away over time. So not something that that people want to do. And when you consider this wealth transfer, sometimes it's millions and millions and millions of dollars that gets transferred. This is why that education is so critical, Patrick. So critical.
It is really, and that's the thing about it, is don't rush to make these decisions. Is like, I just don't want anything to do with it. I think that when people understand that with some education, you can make wiser decisions. Make an informed decision as opposed to a reactive decision or an emotional decision, and really think it through. And it doesn't take that long. I mean, gosh, we do 6 hours tomorrow at our intensive, which will give a lot of information of even what you would do in the next steps. And by the way, you and I can answer questions. So for those of you who are accidental landlords, happen to be listening to this, we're doing an intensive tomorrow, but we do them on a regular basis. So if you can't make it tomorrow, don't worry about that. The thing is to go and find out a little bit more about them.
But buy your ticket, because your ticket right now, I think they're 75% off. I mean, it's a screaming hot deal right now. And what we cover, just so you know, what we cover at the intensive, we cover the 15 steps to real estate success. A lot of people don't realize, but there's actually 15 methodical, strategic, practical steps to take in order to be successful in real estate. This isn't just something, you just like, oh, let's just put in a warm body in an apartment and, hope that this whole thing goes okay. I mean, there are things you can do. So we cover all 15 steps I mean, Patrick, the day is full. It's from 12 p.m. Eastern time to 6 p.m. Eastern time. And the day is chock full of activities. You're going to learn how to design your beliefs. You're going to do a gap analysis. You're going to actually, we're going to do exercises on how to raise capital if you need to raise capital. It's just so much fun, including analyzing properties with some proprietary software that we're going to make available to people so they can actually run it through our property analyzer to find out if it's a good deal or not a good deal.
Yeah, I think at the end of the day, for those who are maybe at risk of being an accidental landlord, who actually are accidental landlords, or even for those, particularly for those who are considering being a landlord, the intensive's a perfect way to go. Of course, the Real Estate Investment Network's been doing this for 29 years, educating people in the world of real estate and how to make gains from it. I think there's something that we all can start to count on, JG. I believe, I'm hopeful. Particularly some of the provinces, Alberta, BC, are opening up a little bit more. Ontario's a little bit behind the curve, but they're starting to open up more. And what's going to start to happen is as people get back into being active, being and moving, they're going to start spending money. Velocity is going to pick up. And I think it's a really great time right now to consider what you're going to do to stay ahead of that inflation curve. Real estate is definitely a tool to do that. It's a great strategy to have in your portfolio, and and to do it right. Be proactive, not reactive. Ride the wave. Don't fall behind it and have to chase the wave. That's really about what. That's really what we're trying to get across here today.
Such a great point, Patrick. So, folks, make sure you sign up. Come to the intensive tomorrow. If you can't sign up for that, go to raincanada.com and go look at the calendar there. We're always doing events. We're here to help real estate investors. We've been doing this for 29 years. We've helped 165,000 individuals attain financial security, financial certainty, and financial freedom. And Patrick, our members have transacted over $5.41 billion worth of real estate. It's an incredible environment to be in. And right now is the very best time for you to sharpen that saw, learn the systems, learn the strategies, learn the tactics, and like you said, Patrick, get ahead of that curve. So, Patrick, look forward to spending time with you tomorrow at the Real Estate Investing in Canada Intensive. So, folks, hopefully you all sign up for that, and we'll see you on the other side. Tomorrow is going to be a great day, Patrick.
See you, everybody. Thanks, JG.